Alright guys, I told you I'd do a mock draft with trades after crushing the goal of 100 likes on the first video. I gotta be honest, this has been an exhausting mock draft to get out. Every time I think it's perfect, something happens to completely alter the mock, and you know how it goes. If one pick changes, it has a domino effect for all the picks following, and with this one including trades, it impacted my thought process for all the teams kind of repositioning themselves. I've already changed the mock a bunch of times since free agency started, and I've been changing my notes on each pick every time I get a notification about another signing, but I decided to just go ahead and post it since I could keep this up all off season.
I made this one with my tears.
This trade between the Colts and Jets was the move I was really waiting for to finalize this version, so this is more like mock draft 5.7. I've got a new challenge for you guys. I spent a lot of time on this mock by making sure the trades would fit under the league's point value scale, so let's see if we can hit 500 likes on this video. 100 was too easy, so hopefully we can reach 500 in this one before the draft is here. And alright, here it is, mock draft 5.7. With the first pick, the Cleveland Browns select Sam Darnold. The Browns have been crazy active with trades and signings, and they definitely need to pick a quarterback in this draft, but they can play it right and grab their favorite quarterback and allow Saquon Barkley to fall to them at number 4. I agree that the sure thing would be taking Saquon Barkley at number 1, but the Browns have got to make sure they get the best quarterback that they project to be the best overall player in 2 to 3 years. I don't know if that's Sam Darnold or not, but he sounds like the guy from all the rumors and reports floating around as of March 2018. With the second pick, the New York Giants select Josh Rosen. A lot of people think the Giants are going to take Saquon Barkley here, but when it comes down to it, the Giants are going to secure the most important position in sports for another decade. Rosen would actually do really well to sit behind Eli for a season and watch a consummate pro go to work, and I want to see him spend a lot of time in the weight room to get his body right so he can withstand the beating of a 16-game NFL season. With the third pick, the New York Jets select Wyoming quarterback Josh Allen. The Jets really screwed up my last mock, and I was a day away from publishing it. I had the Bills originally trading up here, but the Jets saw what they were up to and made the move up before it was too late. I love the move for both teams, however I don't like the quarterback the Jets are rumored to like at the number 3 spot. In my opinion, the Jets would be better suited to get Baker Mayfield here, but it sounds like Josh Allen is their guy. But hey, when you have a type, you have a type. And there's been a trade. With the fourth pick, the Cleveland Browns traded to the Denver Broncos, and the Denver Broncos select Baker Mayfield. The Browns find themselves in such a good spot with the fourth pick because there are 4 legitimate quarterbacks, and the Broncos are the next team in line with a need. The Broncos did sign Case Keenum, but he's not the long-term answer, so the Broncos are going to have to trade up one spot and secure Baker Mayfield, or the Bills are going to jump in front of them. So yeah, you heard it here. The first 4 picks in the 2018 NFL Draft are going to be quarterbacks. This is my best guess as to who and where each guy goes, but the 5 teams are going to be fighting for the top 4 spots to get their guy, whomever that may end up being in April. After drafting a bunch of tall guys, John Elway might as well be the guy to take a chance on the short guy. With the 5th pick, the Cleveland Browns select Saquon Barkley. So when the Browns pass on Saquon at 1 and number 4, don't think that they are just being the same old dumb Browns. They're going to play this game right. They're going to get their quarterback and their running back after trading down and collecting even more picks. Signing Carlos Hyde does not stop the Browns from picking up Barkley. Hyde is getting up there in age and is likely just an insurance policy in case the draft doesn't play out like this for them. The Broncos would likely have to give up a 3rd just to move up this one spot, and the Browns can take the same player that they would take at number 4. It all comes down to the fact that NFL teams just don't value the running back position like fans do. Adrian Peterson was the best college prospect in our lifetime, better than Barkley in my opinion, and he didn't go until 7th overall in the 2007 draft. With the 6th pick, the Indianapolis Colts select Bradley Chubb. I posted an initial reaction mock on my draft Twitter account, make sure you guys go follow that, and I had the Colts getting Quenton Nelson, and I was quickly reminded how the Colts' bigger need is at right tackle and not guard, so I pumped the brakes there. I still think there's some value in Nelson here, but Chubb has only a slightly lesser value at a position of greater value and need for the Colts. With the 7th pick, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers select Minkah Fitzpatrick. The top edge rusher just slips out of the Bucs' grasp, but they can settle for the best DB and still feel good about the player they're getting because the NFC South is full of good offenses and they need as many pieces as they can to help slow them down. This is also the absolute latest that I could see Saquon Barkley falling. Otherwise, the Bucs have got to go defense here. With the 8th pick, the Chicago Bears select Quenton Nelson. The Bears went absolutely in on free agents and made sure to build a legitimate offense around Mitch Trubisky, and they probably assumed they were going to focus on defense in the draft, but the rush on quarterbacks early has pushed one of the top 3 players in the draft down to number 8, and the Bears cannot pass him up. Josh Sitton departed via free agency and leaves a hole for the Bears to fill on the offensive line. Quenton Nelson would really add a nastiness to the Bears' offensive line as they focus on the power running game with Jordan Howard. Alright, there's been another trade. The 49ers trade this pick to the Dallas Cowboys, and with the 9th pick, the Dallas Cowboys select Derwin James. Cowboys have 10 draft picks and no cap space, so they're going to have to get aggressive somewhere to fill their holes. With Byron Jones moving back to corner, the Cowboys' need at safety becomes glaring. Derwin James is one of the best 5 prospects in this draft and could give the Cowboys a much-needed leader on their defense. The Cowboys would have to give up at least their 1st and 2nd round picks this year to move up this high, but for James, I think it's worth it. I made a video about the 5 players from this draft that I think will be the best overall players in 5 years' time, and he's one of them. Make sure you guys check that out after this mock. With the 10th pick, the Oakland Raiders select Denzel Ward. Sean Smith was released after pleading guilty to assault, and last year's 1st round pick, Gary Conley, had a shaky rookie year, so cornerback got to take precedent over linebacker as the Raiders' biggest need going into this draft. Denzel Ward would be a great complement to Conley, giving the Raiders 2 different types of corners to match up with the range of weapons the AFC West has, especially after the Chiefs added Sammy Watkins to their offense. With the 11th pick, the Miami Dolphins select Lamar Jackson. The Dolphins are reportedly in the middle of a culture shift, and they seem like they're just mailing it in for the final year or 2 of Tom Brady's career. But what a better way to rise from the ashes of the AFC East than with Lamar Jackson sitting back, letting Ryan Tannehill take the lumps while the Dolphins develop Jackson and build an offense around him. Even with the Tannehill restructure, the Dolphins could consider taking a quarterback in this draft, especially a developmental guy like Jackson. Lamar Jackson is also on my top 5 in 5 video, and I think he ends up going a lot earlier than people think in this draft. The Dolphins will really have to consider him if he's still available at 11. With the 12th pick, the Buffalo Bills select Connor Williams. While Bills fans might be frustrated in this scenario and feel like they traded up for nothing, but they need to replenish their talent pool, and these 2 first-round picks will go a long way in helping build a strong young foundation for whomever ends up being their future franchise quarterback. If you think the Bills are going to be interested in trading up for Lamar Jackson, you have not been paying attention with their treatment of Tyrod Taylor. They clearly want a more traditional downfield pocket passer and will probably take a chance on a 2nd-round quarterback instead. With the 13th pick, the Washington Redskins select Vita. The Redskins are in a prime trade back spot here with the 2nd best pass rusher still on the board, but after re-signing Zach Brown, the Redskins are also in a position to solidify their front 7 with the biggest athlete in the draft. With the 14th pick, the Green Bay Packers select Harold Landry. The Packers landed Jimmy Graham and Muhammad Wilkerson in free agency, so it's time for them to turn their attention to the pass rush. Harold Landry fits the scheme well and can play opposite of Nick Perry and give the Packers D some much needed pass rush. I've had the Packers go Josh Jackson here previously, and after trading Demarius Randall to the Browns, it's likely that they address the cornerback position early on, but the depth in this corner is much greater than the depth at edge rusher, so they go Landry first. And there's been a trade. The Arizona Cardinals trade with the Detroit Lions, and the Detroit Lions with the 15th pick select Marcus Davenport. The Lions get nervous when they see the next pass rusher come off the board and trade up to get their guy. Marcus Davenport is pretty raw, but definitely has the ideal athleticism for an edge rusher. He's actually really similar to Ziggy Ansah coming at, and gives Matt Patricia some of the pass rush his Patriots defense lacked in the Super Bowl. There's been another trade. The New Orleans Saints have traded with the Baltimore Ravens to jump up, and with the 16th pick, they select Tremaine Edmunds. The Saints don't have a ton of ammunition to move up this year, so they would have to give up a future 2nd and likely a later round pick in this draft to move up and get Tremaine Edmunds. But this might be Drew Brees' final season, and the Saints need to load up with all the top talent they can. And if Edmunds starts to slide, the Saints could be one of the teams to jump up and get him. With the 17th pick, the Los Angeles Chargers select Roquan Smith. Initially, I had the Chargers solidifying that offensive line with Mike McGlinchey, but Roquan Smith is still on the board, and I can't see the Chargers passing on Smith as their new middle linebacker after the failed Manti Te'o and Denzel Perryman experiments. With the 18th pick, the Seattle Seahawks select Josh Jackson, cornerback out of Iowa. The Legion of Boom is officially dead, and it's time to find the next wave of defensive backs for Seattle. The Seahawks released Richard Sherman, Deshaun Shedd, and Jeremy Lane this offseason, and cornerback depth is pretty strong in this draft, but Josh Jackson fits their mold too much to pass on for an offensive lineman here. With the 19th pick, the San Francisco 49ers select Calvin Ridley. 49ers trade down and still get the most polished wide receiver in this draft. They're not afraid of Ridley being an older prospect because Jimmy Garoppolo is already kind of an older prospect at 26 years old. The fact of the matter is that they're making a quick turnaround in San Fran and they're ready to compete now, but they need a legit wide receiver 1 to ensure Jimmy G's success. With the 20th pick, the Arizona Cardinals select DJ Moore. The Cardinals feel like they're about to fall off in an ugly way. We're far away from playing games here, but the team is going to be asking a lot from David Johnson to stay in games. They've made some weird moves at quarterback, but at least they got some offensive line to protect whoever is back there. I'd love to see them trade up for Lamar Jackson, keeping him a Cardinal for life, or trade down and make a move on the next wave of quarterbacks in this draft. I could see them trading down and collecting picks, preferably for the future. The Cardinals let all of their wide receivers not named Larry Fitzgerald moved on in free agency, so they need to get another guy in there for Bradford, Glennon, whomever's poor soul has to start for the Cardinals this year. And we have another trade. The Minnesota Vikings trade with the Cincinnati Bengals to select Isaiah Wynn. The Vikings are all in on 2018 to 2020. They're not going to sit back and watch an impact player at a position of need fall to a team right in front of them. The Bengals have already traded down once and filled their biggest hole in the process, and the Vikings need to protect their fully guaranteed investment, and Isaiah Wynn could really inject some much needed athleticism to their offensive line. With the 22nd pick, the Buffalo Bills select Will Hernandez. After addressing their offensive line with both first-round picks, the Bills are setting themselves up to have a great wall from whoever starts for them at quarterback. The Patriots' reign is coming to a close as Tom Brady's got a year or two left, and the Bills need to take a patient approach to this rebuilding process. With the 23rd pick, the Los Angeles Rams select Arden Key, LSU edge rusher. Robert Quinn wasn't a true fit in a 3-4 defense, and the Rams shipped him off to Miami. So the Rams are now in a position to fill his spot with an edge rusher that is better suited for a 3-4. Arden Key would benefit so much from getting his career started with Wade Phillips after underachieving at LSU. With the 24th pick, the Carolina Panthers select James Daniel, center guard out of Iowa. Panthers center Ryan Khalil has given the Panthers a chance to find his successor by announcing his retirement after the 2018 season already. With the needed guard also after losing Andrew Norwell in free agency, the Panthers would be wise to grab James Daniels and plug him in at guard and get him ready to take over at center in 2019. With the 25th pick, the Tennessee Titans select Georgia edge rusher Lorenzo Carter. The Titans have done well in free agency, but they need to add some youth and athleticism to the edge rusher position. If Mike Vrabel starts his head coach career with anything other than drafting an edge rusher, it's going to be a disappointment. Lorenzo Carter was an NFL Combine star after running a 4.5 40 at 6'6", 250. This is a little earlier than he's projected, but there's always a pass rusher that gets reached on in the draft, and this year I think it's going to be Lorenzo Carter. With the 26th pick, the Atlanta Falcons select Alabama defensive tackle Daron Payne. Dante Ripo was not re-signed after a one-year deal with the Falcons. They need to try to fill that void with a similar prospect in Daron Payne. Payne will provide more of a pass rush than Poe, and I think that's what the Falcons envisioned from Poe in their system. But he ended up being more of a 2-down lineman for them, and hopefully Daron Payne can flourish into a 3-down lineman. With the 27th pick, the Baltimore Ravens select Penn State tight end Mike Gesicki. The Ravens were really shady about their free agency moves at wide receiver. Check this out. They signed Ryan Grant and then they signed John Brown. But when Michael Crabtree became available, they failed Ryan Grant's physical, negating his contract. Anyways, they'll probably add another wide receiver early on in this draft, but the best tight end is on the board for them, and they could add a lot of athleticism to the position for Joe Flacco. Mike Gesicki was in the wrong offense at Penn State and could end up being the top tight end from this draft. With the 28th pick, the Pittsburgh Steelers select Alabama linebacker Rashaan Evans. The Steelers were weak at linebacker before Ryan Shazier went down with a potentially career-ending injury, so they're going to have to find someone to man the middle of their 3-4 defense. Rashaan Evans seems like a natural fit with his range and leadership abilities, but keep an eye on Boise State linebacker Leighton Vander Esch. I think he might end up being the pick here if Rashaan Evans is not available. With the 29th pick, the Jacksonville Jaguars select Courtland Sutton. Allen Robinson left for the Bears, and Blake Bortles needs all the help he can get to take pressure off of the running game, or else they're just going to stack the box. Courtland Sutton's actually one of my favorite wide receivers in this draft because he's got a ceiling as high as Julio Jones, and he would give Blake Bortles another big-bodied wide receiver to replace Robinson. With the 30th pick, the Cincinnati Bengals select Michigan defensive tackle Maurice Hurst. Maurice Hurst could end up being the best defensive tackle from this draft, but a potential heart condition that was flagged at the NFL Combine will most likely drop him in the draft. Hopefully he falls to a good situation where he can really flourish and everything checks out. Everything happens for a reason. Prayers and thoughts go out to Maurice Hurst and his ability to overcome whatever this might be and have a great NFL career. With the 31st pick, New England Patriots select Mike McGlinchey. The Giants stole 2 Super Bowls from the Patriots, and now they've taken their left tackle. The Patriots will be able to fill their need at corner later in the draft. Belichick needs to go out and get a left tackle as soon as possible. I've had Mike McGlinchey going here for a while, but you never know when the run on offensive tackles will start and teams will start reaching on guys. And with the 32nd pick, the Philadelphia Eagles select Boise State linebacker Leighton Vander Esch. The Eagles might be the first team in NFL history that fields a defense just full of defensive linemen. But in case they want to throw another linebacker out there, Leighton Vander Esch is a big linebacker who only played 1 year at Boise State, but I think his best football is ahead of him, and he'd be a great pick for the future. Alright guys, mock draft 5.7 is now officially in the books. I hope you guys will like and subscribe to this channel. I had a lot of fun doing this mock. It was a lot of hard work, but in the end, it's great to see what I think is a quality mock draft put together. If you guys go ahead and want to follow me on Twitter or Facebook, that would be awesome. Don't forget to follow my draft retweet account also, where we just talk about the draft all year long. If you guys did or did not like your pick, let me know in the comments below. I love talking about the draft with you guys down there, and then I will see you guys in the next video.